hopes that we are in something like a French Resistance mode of working, to find business design such that someone like Steve Fairfax could create equipment and measuring devices and ways to verify measuring small amounts of gold, and maybe other people could create devices that deposit it on film, and then their customers become agorists. The people that are buying those services, and I guess they wouldn't be able to be the exclusive market, because then, if you're trying to destroy such a market as a monopolist state, you'd say, okay, the choke point is the equipment manufacturer. But if you could find some business like that to latch onto, where agorist activity is still enabled through it, but the source of that information, the source of the supplies, can't be attacked because it's too valuable. I think that's an interesting business model to look at.
Yeah, and that's the idea of valuable information, I think, comes from, not what it comes from in your words, but I think that what valuable information could come from would be people's own interest to defend their sources of goods and services. Say, for example, you're providing a black market good or services to a certain group of people who might otherwise be inclined to snitch to the authorities. If they are, if they really do enjoy the goods or services that they do get, they now have an interest to protect people and to not turn people over to the authorities, which makes them sort of consciously agorist, but it's not fully there yet. Yeah. But I think this is probably a way for any entrepreneur or a black market entrepreneur to try and get things done, is to get in good with a community that you're actually trying to serve, and so that these people will not turn you in. Konkin gives the example of, for example, in China, where Bibles and things were banned, they can try to completely destroy religion. An underground nun or something, or a Bible salesperson, it would be in a hallway with a underground prostitute, and neither of them would snitch on each other, even though the two of them may have reasons to disagree with one another. So it builds a sort of camaraderie, being counter-economic in the first place. And the people who even aren't providing the services or goods, but are simply consuming the services or goods, will also be a part of that. So it's a natural community-building, counter-economic thing, and it can probably work as a virtuous cycle that way. So, but I'd like to see how it would be done in American society, which is still relatively free. But of course, in a few years, it might be worse. So,
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, this idea, Gil brought it up before, and it struck me. I first ran across it in Rothbard's Conceived in Liberty, this idea that central authority was the polemic opposite of liberty, and that to try and mix the two in society was unstable, that the system would either gravitate towards one end or the other. And I think they gravitate in different ways, that central authority continuously draws power to the center, and until it eventually crashes spectacularly, whereas individual power just sort of drains off and diffuses without even being noticed.
Yeah. It looks like Gil came back. Gil, do you hear? No, there might be a delay still.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry about that. I had my mute on.
There you go. All right, so there you go. Do you want to reiterate what you were just saying, Mark?
Oh, I was just saying one of the things that Gil mentioned before that struck me in the past, reading Rothbard, was the way central control was the polar opposite of individual control, and that to try and mix the two in society was unstable. So it's almost as if, in your example, Tennyson about the strange bedfellows that tyrannical governments make. The state ends up making enemies of everyone, and so everyone sort of makes common cause in avoiding the state and not having disputes with people, because they know that as soon as there's a dispute with a person and the police get involved or the courts get involved in an authoritarian society, it means death for everybody involved.
Yes. Oh,
yeah, I
wondering if
agree
Gil
with that.
had anything to say. There you go.
So,
well, I don't know.
But we were talking about that in the context of business plans and serving different communities. One of the, I guess, ideas I had similar to that was setting up one of these LRN.FM micro broadcasting stations in the little rural town that we're building our coffee shop in. And it occurred to me that maybe the best way to do that, just so you're not the one guy that's putting out all this radical stuff that that people are complaining about, is instead to get a group of radio enthusiasts involved and get them set up so that they go out and set up micro broadcasting stations for the local churches and Kiwanis Club and everything else. And you just promote the diversity, enable people to have small little broadcasting stations, and then let the market decide which information is the most clear to them and the most relevant.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Just looking at my reader, there's an update here, but aside from that, it seems like it's really the job of the entrepreneur. Not everybody, not every thinker or anybody's going to be able to see all the anti-state or counter-economic opportunities that are going to be out there. So this is why we rely on our entrepreneurs. Somebody out there is going to be able to see an opportunity to actually make a profit, and this is what agorism is about: trading risk for profit. And the risk that we take in opposing the state, not taking up arms, not doing anything, but in actually simply letting go of it, in a way personally seceding from the state, is real. It's a conscious, concrete, real risk. And not everybody's willing to take all the risk or even the amount of risk that might be necessary to do it. So these are what our entrepreneurs are for. And let's hope that some of them are out there.
I almost don't like the way you put that. It's like, kind of reminds me of the scene in that movie Gandhi where they're trying to go to the sea to make salt, and they line up, right? And they're all lined up, and one of them steps forward to the gate, and the soldier, bats him down with a baton, and then the next guy steps up, and the soldier bats him down with a baton, and after they do like about 100 of them, then the soldiers start realizing that probably what they're doing is wrong. So I guess I get to the front of the queue there and see what it's like.
Well, you either get hit now or get hit later. It seems to be what we got to do here. I'd rather nobody get hit at all, but no, we can't avoid it sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I'm just scanning the comments. I saw there was one a little while ago about 100% aggression-free. To use that as a way to start promoting virtues. And this gets back to what you were saying earlier, Gil, about you need to be a virtuous person that's well respected if you're going to introduce radical ideas. And I think that's sometimes difficult. The state tends to have this completely inverted language that they push out. It's amazing sometimes. I want to see some filmmaker have a scene in a movie this is Mad Max, and there's the little village with a big wall around it, and the people dressed in cotton, and the little boy with long hair, and the old man with a gray beard, and they look out and they see this gang of motorcyclists coming with baseball bats and spikes, and the little boy says, "Grandpa, what's happening?" And the old man says, "Well, that's the status. They're coming to attack us anarchists." And, the motorcycle gang says, "Oi, we're here to get our tax from you."
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of upside down language gets pushed out on us. I think a good thing is just to promote the virtue in what we're doing, the non-aggression, the offering choices, the ability for people to live according to their own ends. That's takes constant work. It's constant marketing for all of us that believe these things.
Absolutely. Well, let's see. I was thinking of another image that I see sometimes. I go to the Mises.org community thing, and they have a picture that says a narco-dictator of death, which is it's the most incomprehensible thing. It's the narco-dictator. But I think it's definitely a kind of thing that people have when they hear the phrase anarchist. But I think maybe that's going away a little bit these days.
I think it is,
I think so.
I was talking to. I was going to.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say that it was basically in the vein of what we were saying about being a person of goodwill and being a person that's respected. I do well in my line of work, and I'm respected. And if somebody asks me, this inevitably comes up. You're sitting in a conference room or having lunch with somebody, and they want to start talking politics, and you just say, "Look, I'm an anarchist," and they don't think they don't think that you are silly, because you've already built up with them a capital stock that, hey, this guy's a real person, he's productive, he's intelligent, and so forth, and so it allows you to be, and then when you're radical like that, they take seriously the idea. I'm also reminded. I remember I used to be the president of my village association in Grogan's Mill Village in the Woodlands. This is in the homeowners association, so there's no tax involved. But inevitably we talk about local issues, and the treasurer at the time said, well, what do you think? And I said, well, I oppose all taxation. And she looked at me and she said, oh, it's a brand new idea, but you work with somebody for years, and I think social authority is very important for anarchists to build. What is it? What does this thing mean right here? Bookkeeping, please. What does that mean?
I don't know. Somebody's talking about agorist bookkeeping.
Oh, right. Because somebody said earlier on that
somebody said double entry bookkeeping. So what kind of things would...
Well, I think maybe this is a canard. I don't know, because I don't know if you get... I mean, I've read... Of course, one of the things I had to read up on was accounting. By the way, I just love the teaching company. I've used 1,000 of their things. And there's a great...
Oh, yes.
There's a great video course they have on accounting. And I learned so much about the accounting cycle and accounting from that. And... most companies they have books. They have multiple sets of books, and the number of books they have usually is equal to the number of jurisdictions they operate in plus one. That is, there's a separate set of books for every taxing jurisdiction, and on purpose. Part of the role of the accountant is to minimize the tax liability of the in that jurisdiction, and so